I am on Kelly's channel today, and I am making a little cameo because we are spending some time together today. I've just done Kelly's makeup on my channel, and we wanted to film a video here, and you had the idea to talk about anxiety and stress management. So we both came up with 5 tips each, so this should be a good, helpful video and hopefully inspire people to look after themselves a bit more and feel better.
It's a funny one because we're having a good time and, you know, having a bit of a giggle, but actually mental health is a really serious issue that I feel really strongly about. So do excuse me if we're trying to do it in a light-hearted way. I do take I'm sure you do as well, Kat, mental health very seriously. And so we want to give some really helpful tips and maybe start a bit of a discussion in the comments about anxiety and stress management, obviously. Trying to keep it as light-hearted as possible and as supportive as possible as well.
Yeah.
So do you want to go first?
Everyone goes through it, so.
That's true.
Yeah.
Even on some level, I think that's a really good point, because I've picked my points on a bit of a scale, so to be helpful to those who just literally want to better themselves, who wouldn't necessarily consider themselves a sufferer of anxiety, and also for those who are bordering on considering professional help or already receiving professional help. I've tried to sort of cater to both ends of the spectrum with mine, so good point.
And mine are just practical tips because I personally haven't suffered with, I wouldn't say I've suffered with anxiety. Obviously we all do to some extent at some points, but I definitely experience stress in my everyday life and with my internal thoughts and stuff, so I use daily habits to manage that and stop it from getting out of hand or getting any worse. So mine are more for everyone, but they're kind of preventative rather than I know what I mean. Tips
to create the right environment to prevent it from happening.
Yeah, exactly, because I think that's always better than getting to a really dark, deep place and having to pull yourself out of it. Mine is more I know that I can get to a certain place, but I choose to do these things every single day to help myself.
So general well-being as well then.
Yeah, and just try to put yourself first a bit more. So yours are really good and
Thank you.
more from a counselling point of view, and mine are just practical, get shit done.
To give a bit more background.
I
don't know. You just did. Why not? Why not? Anything goes. Does it make you feel good? Because that's what we're all about today.
Yeah, it does.
Go for it then. To give a bit of background from my side, I haven't ever suffered, I wouldn't say, from a depression, as I would never describe that. I think I had struggles with sleep deprivation after my daughter was born, and there's times when that can get to the point where you wonder, it's hard to tell the difference. To sleep deprivation and depression, it's very hard symptom-wise to physically and mentally to actually see a difference between those two. But I wouldn't say anyway that I've necessarily struggled with depression. I have had a dark experience of it with relatives and friends, and although I'm in banking for a living, and obviously I'm a big beauty lover, I have a beauty channel, I actually studied psychodynamic counselling up to a certain point, not enough to go into private practice. I need to complete another 2 years to do that. So I got a little bit of academic knowledge on the subject, and also personally I've had CBT treatments. I actually had, not to go into too much detail on it, but I had post-traumatic stress disorder, and I had CBT treatment, which is cognitive behavioural therapy, to help with that.
Yeah.
So would you like to go first?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Please feel free as the guest.
Yeah, so my first tip is meditation or visualisation. Now I say or because I know a lot of people associate meditation with spirituality or a certain religion, but it's really not about that. And I think any sort of exercise where you just stop, do some breathing, calm yourself down, and just think, not necessarily think positive thoughts or try to get rid of the negative thoughts, but just be by yourself in your body and just be present in the moment. That's what meditation is about for me. And
mindfulness.
Yeah, exactly. one word sums it up, but yeah, like there's an app called Headspace which teaches you how to meditate, and that's really good.
So they have a free trial for 10 days, everybody can do.
Yeah, and he talks about like the struggles you'll face like learning it and stuff, and that's a really good one. But just 10 minutes or even 5 minutes, 3 minutes a day, I just think makes a huge difference if you are prone to stress or anxiety, because it just helps you like manage your thoughts, and kind of, especially in the morning, it starts your day on like an even keel. If you start your day with that calm demeanour, then not like it's harder for things to faze you as much. That's what I found anyway on the days that I have meditated.
Especially good tip for men, because I don't want to stereotype or anything. Probably my only biggest example would be my own husband, but if I'm stressed, sometimes a good old bubble bath will sort me out. But for him, it's not something that he thinks is acceptable for him to do or that he wants to do, and that's his own feelings on it. I'm sure there's plenty of men out there having bubble baths, but meditation is something that maybe I've suggested to him that he could do to relax. Whereas because I find pampering and stuff comes up a lot when you read about or you even if you go for a treatment, and counsellors say take the me time, etc. And I think that's possibly more difficult for men to do, because I think when you think of that sort of time and relaxing, you automatically think of sort of candles and music, and I think
me time can be whatever you want it to. For me, I think me time is anything that you really enjoy and you find relaxing. So for guys,
downtime is probably what I mean by that.
So it could be their favourite hobby, it could be like their favourite sport with a friend, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. But just going out with their friends. So
meditation, I think.
I do think that me time and stuff is definitely marketed towards women more. Yeah. Guys like Tony Robbins is like a huge personal motivational speaker, and he meditates every single day, and he's very successful and rich. So if it's good enough for him, then it's good enough for guys out there. So meditation, honestly, it's changed my life. I love it.
I personally admit I don't meditate. I did have it recommended to me by a counsellor, and I did look at that Headspace thing, which I did think was helpful. But I do think it's a good tip, and I always sort of think, that's something I'm going to do. And just like everyone else, I'm not perfect, and I've got tips and ideas myself, but you don't always go ahead and
like no one's perfect. Sometimes
do them.
Sometimes you do these videos and you think, I don't do that tip, like I need to make more time for that myself.
Exactly. I mean, I was going to do this as point 4, but point 5, but because it ties in with yours, I'll do this one first. So I've got mantras on mine. I could make a whole video on mantras, so I will try not to babble on too much about it. But I think what you were saying about sort of balancing yourself and meditating, I think it ties in with that. I found particularly one thing I was anxious about 4 years ago was having my daughter. As a first time mum, I was terrified at the thought of giving birth, which I think is a common and understandable thing to be frightened of. They literally are the size of a watermelon, and you are not. So you think, how is this going to work?
I can't even imagine.
It's the perfect... you don't want to. It's the perfect example of a mantra, because I would say to myself, whenever I felt those anxious thoughts and during labour itself, I would say to myself, your body is designed to do this. Your body is designed to do this. And I would tell myself that mantra, and as cheesy as it sounds, that really helped me.
It's not cheesy to me though, because it's empowering, and it's an affirmation, which is what I call them, which is the same thing, but that's kind of like a meditative thought that you can take with you throughout the day.
Yes, I thought it would tie in.
Like one thing I've said to myself when I stress about money, because I started a business from scratch and it took a long time to earn any money from it, but I used to always say to myself, I have all that I need in this moment.
That's a good one.
I have all that I need in this moment. And I think a lot of people forget that fact, and that just reminds you, like, you've got food in your stomach, you're not starving, you're not homeless.
One that I find is a good one that my brother gave me. I never thought I could run, and my older brother taught me how to run, And even now, I wouldn't say I was, you know, naturally athletic at all, but I do make an effort.
Yeah.
And when I'm struggling, I will tell myself, and it's, don't laugh, but this really works, you'll pass out before you die. Like, you're not actually going to die. The worst possible thing you can do to yourself is make yourself pass out. I mean, is that really the end of the world? And I'm not recommending anybody exercise till they pass out, but what I mean is when I was running,
it's just not
rarely going to happen. Yeah, so when I was running with my brother, I would be like, you know, I can't do this. He'd be like, actually you can, because you're not going to die. You would pass out before that would happen. So, and he kept saying to me, I was like, I can't do it, but like, you'll pass out before you die. Crack on, keep going. And he would push me and push me and push me.
Yeah.
And that was a good mantra. And another one as well one more I wanted to mention was I am good enough, or I'm good enough. And that's
I am worthy.
Yeah. Do you like L'Oreal? Is it L'Oreal? I'm worth
no,
it.
not worth it.
Yeah,
I am
worthy.
worthy.
That's
like,
a good one.
I am worthy of love, care.
It's a really good one. But I passed the I am good enough one on to a friend of ours recently on YouTube, Alice, and she did say it helped her out. So yeah, I do often I find that's really good, especially if you're the perfectionist sort of a person who's very ambitious, who's always feeling like I need to be doing better, or I should be further in life, or even if you're comparing yourself to others.
Yeah.
I find it really helpful when I'm driving, because I don't think I'm the best driver, and I don't think my husband's the best passenger in a driving situation. And I often tell myself, if he has something to say when I'm driving, I often tell myself, you know what, I say, it's alright though, because I'm good enough. You only have to be good enough. And that's not to say there's anything wrong with striving to be good. And because I know you're very ambitious, Kat, and I was worried with this video that ours would be quite opposing tips, but it's not the case. But yeah, I find that people are quite it is great to push yourself, and it is great to have goals and ambitions in life, but it's also good to remind yourself that
you're good enough.
You're good enough.
Yeah.
You actually are good enough.
I've really struggled with that in the past 6 months, because I'm definitely someone who's like, oh, I should be here by now, I want to do this, I still want to do this. And sometimes you have to stop and remind yourself, like, I am more than just my work, like, I am more than just my achievements. I am a good person, separate from what I've done in life.
And if you're having a bad hair day and it's just not working out, it's fine, it's good enough. Just crack on, it's good enough.
It looks good.
Thank you.
Oh, almost spilled my tea on you.
It's okay, you spilled it good enough. Not too much.
Yeah.
Just enough.
Just wipe it on my jeans. My second tip is exercise, and I briefly mentioned this before. This is great for guys because it's a lot of the time it's a really productive thing for guys to channel if they are stressed or feeling angry or upset or whatever. I know my boyfriend loves the gym and really finds it helpful going before work, because it's just a really productive but really enjoyable thing to start your day with. When you've done a workout, you're just energised, you're awake, and when you're in
that built up testosterone.
Yeah, I feel like I have that. And when you're in the gym, like when you're sweaty and you're out of breath, like you were saying with your run, like you're not thinking about anything else. You're just like struggling to breathe.
You're forcing yourself to be mindful because you've got to concentrate on the physical aspect of it and get out of your own head.
Exactly. And I think people always, this is the one thing that people are like, oh, okay, like I know you're supposed to exercise to manage stress, but they're not doing it. And you just need to do it. You just need
you have to find something you enjoy.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if you're forcing yourself, then it may be that's not the right activity, because you can't sustain that long term.
But you need to experiment and find something, definitely, and start small, even if it's just going for a walk. It's better than staying inside, and it does really help. So
physically as well, all the serotonin and releasing and the happy hormones and feeling good, and
helps you sleep better.
Vitamin D in the sunlight if you can get outside. Actually, ties in with the point I've got here, so I'll go on to mention this next. I've got invest in yourself. I've got a few things listed on there, exercise being one of them, which I think it's important. Me time, which we've already touched on, but also counselling. Now, I appreciate counselling isn't for everyone. I probably shouldn't name names, so I won't, but I've got people that in my life that agree with me that counselling, everybody should have that. And
I think that.
but I've also got people that don't.
I want to go to a therapist at some point in the next 5 to 10 years, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the financial investment, isn't it?
It's a cultural as well. I think we live in the UK, we're British, and you've got that stiff upper lip mentality of the fact that you don't really talk about your feelings, you don't sort of show them. When we were studying grief and bereavement at uni, it was talking about how our cultures are so very different, how it's very common. It's not a stereotype, but in Italy, for example, it wouldn't be out of place for a mother or a wife or anybody of grieving to literally throw themselves on the coffin and wail, and everybody just accepts it. In Britain, you're trying to hide your tears at the funeral, like, oh, nobody look at me, I'm crying.
It's so true.
And it's just different cultures. And I think I think investing in yourself and some counselling is something that we don't really do in Britain very much. And I think there's a stigma attached to it. Like if you need help, as if some people would say that's an insult. Oh, you need help. Do you know what I mean? And it's almost it's been turned into an insult.
And it almost is like you would have to be at like rock bottom.
Like you're mentally ill if you're getting counselling. It doesn't mean you're mentally ill.
In fact, just like we were talking, I said before, prevention is better than cure kind of thing. Counselling and learning the habits and CBT and things relating to dealing with your past or anxiety or stress or whatever can like equip you with those things for life.
Mm-hmm,
and
exactly.
When you're faced with a tough decision, you already know what's right for your body. You already know what you need to do to help yourself and support yourself. It kind of teaches you and guides you, because you don't get taught that at school. Like you don't get taught how to deal with someone dying, or
exactly.
It's not really discussed at all, really.
No, that sort of thing isn't.
They're just like,
I think we're lucky that we live in exactly, algebra. I think we're lucky that we live in a day and age now where mental health is advancing to the extent where local authorities, such as the NHS in our case, and just in general, there's less ignorance around it, there's more awareness around it, there's more investment in it, money-wise, time-wise, in regards to improving people's well-being and understanding the impact of mental health issues and things like that. So we're quite lucky that we live in a time where it is coming along. I mean, my hospital near us being a perfect example. When I had my daughter, again to bring that up, it's terrifying when you've just given birth, you're absolutely exhausted. Some people, if they have a C-section, cannot sit up. You need medical attention, which is why you're there, which is why you can't go home. And you've got support available to you in the form of your mum or your husband or your partner or whatever. And you can't have them with you. So after a certain point, you've not only got yourself to take care of in that situation, you've got for the first time a newborn baby that's also completely helpless to look after. And they basically say, well, everyone else has to go home. So you're forced into the scenario where you're alone. And I think that as things have advanced over time, they've realised how wrong these sorts of decisions are. Like, for example, children, they used to be admitted to hospital and parents weren't allowed to be with them. Over time, because of John Bowlby's work and attachment theory and etc., they've realised that that's the most ridiculous thing, that could be said, and you'd never see that happen now. You'd never expect a child to be left alone in a hospital and the parent to go home and come back when they're medically well, because what other needs could they possibly have except medical ones in a hospital? Do you know what I mean? I think they realise now emotional well-being and attachment, and it's the same now. The advancements are getting to the stage where we're getting so intelligent and so much better with mental health as a society that they even are now building hospitals, like the one near me, where the maternity ward, instead of you being on a ward, each room is individual, and in that room there's the capacity for another bed where the dad sleeps.
Yeah.
So the father of the child in those first 24 to 48 hours can actually stay with their child and not be in a situation where their partner, the mum, is being allowed to bond with the child more than they are, and the mum's not being put in that situation where she's at her most vulnerable and being forced to be left alone. So I know I've gone off on a tangent.
I was just like
off on
counselling.
a tangent, but yeah, this
Sorry.
yeah. But I feel like the advancements we're now making in mental health are fantastic, to the point where they're even building hospitals to accommodate mental health in the first 24 to 48 hours.
Yeah.
And the importance of issues surrounding mental health, you know, right from the very first second that human is comes into this world. And I think that's really, really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, invest in yourself. If you need to talk to somebody, then there's no shame in that. In fact, that should be celebrated, that you're able to acknowledge that. And if you think that if you're watching this video because you do suffer with any level of anxiety or stress, and you feel as though you don't deserve somebody else's time to be talking to them, then there is something wrong with that, because you do deserve that time, and it's not self-indulgent, and it's not a treat. And if you would go out and spend 20 quid on a haircut and sit in a chair for an hour to get your hair cut, why would you not spend that money on yourself? Because you can get free counselling, you can go to your GP and get free counselling, but if it is going to cost you money, that's worth doing.
Yeah.
I mean, is there anything more important?
Exactly. I just try and do like self-help stuff,
Mm-hmm.
like books and videos and things at home, but there's only so much that can do, and then sometimes you need to talk to an actual human being. But something I do and recommend to people, there's also like coaches. So if you don't have kind of serious anxiety and you're more sort of struggling with something in particular, there's like life coaches, health coaches, business coaches, and they're more sort of targeted towards one thing. So if you find your anxiety or stress it relates to a certain aspect of your life, then that can be really helpful as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that's usually a bit more accessible, like online and stuff. So
the very last thing I wanted to mention on my invest in yourself point is just the academic side of it. If you feel, and I do have some people in my life that do feel this way, so I can appreciate it, if you do feel like you can't go to counselling because you just don't feel it's going to be for you, that you don't think you can open up with a stranger, etc., then there is research and learning you can do to better yourself without taking that step if you can't go that far. Like, for example, looking at mental health tools that counsellors would use, and learning yourself. So you mentioned self-help books, Kat.
yeah.
I would mention things like, I would like to suggest things like Johari's Window or Carl Maslow's Hierarchy of Needs. These are people that have drawn diagrams and written theories and books and learnings to do with counselling that you could read, not because you necessarily want to counsel somebody else, but just if you wanted to help yourself. Johari Window is this really fantastic concept where, obviously I've not got a huge amount of time to explain it, but it to try and imagine how much of yourself as a whole person that you can actually see. So there'd be the way you see yourself, the way that others see you, you know, the bits that are in your unconscious, and it's about widening that section of the window of what you can see with your own eyes. So that might involve getting feedback from others, because you would have a perception of yourself that in reality may not actually be a real reflection of yourself.
Yeah.
And counselling is supposed to help you to be able to see more of yourself. And the Johari's Window, if you can't go to counselling, if you could understand and learn that concept, if you'd like to teach yourself that concept, which is really easy to do, it's not a complicated thing, then again that might be something almost to give yourself the counselling, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So my next tip is to start a gratitude journal, and you can do this with an app. I really like the 5-minute journal app, or you can just use pen and paper, and it takes 2 minutes out of your day, but it makes a huge difference, and it's just a really nice way to remind yourself of the great things you have in your life that you're grateful for, because I think so often we forget, and especially when we're in a place of feeling anxious, we're very much in our own head, and we're not thinking about our surroundings as much.
Mm-hmm.
And I know from my perspective, when I have a bad day, I'm very consumed by my bad mood, and I'm just thinking about everything negative that's happening. And when you actually stop and think of the things that you have to be grateful for, it just puts you in a much more positive place, mentally, emotionally, and starting your day again from that place.
There are some psychological theories that suggest that you can basically think yourself positive or think yourself happy, and it's like that, or literally fake it till you make it, smile. There are some theories around that.
And I think focus on what you have in life and you'll get what you want in life. A lot of people say that because I think
positivity breeds, what do they say?
Like it's kind of like the law of attraction thing, but even if you think that's all a load of BS, writing down 3 things you're grateful for every single morning is going to make you a more positive person and less negative.
Or even if you couldn't even stretch that far,
there is always going to be someone
just say them to yourself.
Think
them. Just take a minute when you're waking up to think them, or when you getting up, going on the toilet, sitting on the toilet, but nothing to do. Think of things you're grateful for.
Exactly. Or even just waking up and thinking, I'm grateful that I've woken up. I'm grateful to be alive another day because someone didn't wake up this morning.
I know that's easier said than done when you are depressed. I mean, this video was to do with anxiety and stress, and I think it's ended up being a bit to do with general well-being as well. But I will say, if you are to the point where it's feeling grateful and happy about and positive about anything it's become almost impossible, then that is when it's not that it would be positive influence in your life to get counselling, but that you do really need to speak to your doctor if that's the case. I would say I'd go as far as say it'd be dangerous not to, and irresponsible towards yourself even not to, if that is how far things have gone, which does happen and can happen to anybody. Literally can happen to anybody. If you get to that point where you're trying these tips, you're trying to help yourself, but actually you can't force yourself to feel positive or grateful towards aspects in your life, then that is time then to take to accept and encourage some medical intervention. The next tip would be to cull people and places and activities in your life that don't make you feel good. If you are friends with somebody out of a sense of loyalty, or because you've been friends for a long time, or because you feel that or even it's harder, isn't it, with family? But in my family culture, family's family. I mean, everybody's different, but specifically I'm talking about jobs. If you do a job and your job's, you're finding it hard to get up in the morning, is it because you're finding it hard to get up in the morning, or is it because you don't want to go to work because that job's not right for you? I think culling places as well, if you have anxiety in public transport, obviously sometimes that can't be avoided, and if it's your goal to work on that and you want to crack that and you actually want to beat that and confront it, then fine. But if not, maybe public transport isn't for you. If it makes you very anxious and stressed, maybe if you can, learn to drive and get a car. So it's not always down to everyone's an individual, every situation's an individual, but I would definitely call people. If you feel a friendship is one-sided and you feel that you're with friends with them because you feel that they need you, but you're not necessarily not getting anything from them because you don't give to receive, but if you're not feeling good about yourself when you're spending time with them, and you look back and you think, oh, was I being too sensitive, or was that comment meant to be hurtful? You've got to really address whether you want to continue with that friendship, because it's not the end of the world. It doesn't make you a horrible person to say, and you don't have to necessarily go, right, look, I never want to see you again. Do you know what I mean? But if it ties in what you were saying, surround yourself with people that make you feel good about yourself.
That was my next point.
So it ties in with that. So cool people. If you're coming away from a social situation and you're not feeling great about yourself, you've got to address that.
Red flag.
It is. It's a
that they're a crap friend. You shouldn't, people should make you feel good, especially friends, because life's too short to have frenemies, and we're not in high school anymore, so especially, I found this before with people's attitudes, because my next point is surround yourself with the right people, and by that I mean people who support you, people who lift you up, because you should come away from a meeting with a friend feeling a little bit better. I've heard advice from people saying you should always leave someone better than when you have found them.
Yes.
Just in general in life, whether it's someone at a checkout at Tesco or your best friend, and if someone doesn't put any effort into being supportive, being kind, making you feel happy just as you would them, then they're not the right person to have in your life, especially if you do struggle with this kind of thing, because they're just going to drag you down and they're going to keep you down. Because people, if they feel...
And it's not necessarily because they're a horrible person or that they're doing it purposefully.
Everyone's on
just a
their...
chemistry, isn't it?
Exactly, and everyone's on their own journey, and it's fine to be like, I need to feel good, and in order to feel good I need to surround myself with the people who lift me up in life, and this person doesn't, and they will find their own way. They will further down the line change their mind and go on their own path, but it's up to you to be responsible for yourself and your own happiness.
Exactly, you've got to put yourself first, to a certain extent.
And more on my point of surrounding yourself with the right people, depending on what you're struggling with, I think, you know, going to counsellors, watching videos of people that inspire you, even the like YouTube videos you watch. Sometimes you can watch videos from people who talk about deep, dark topics, you know, and maybe you want to start watching different kinds of videos that make you feel more positive.
Or you might watch videos of people who will quite happily spend £200 on a facial serum and it's making you feel like crap because, you know...
Exactly, like...
Then don't watch them. If that's making you feel bad, don't watch them.
People you don't relate to, you feel like you're comparing yourself to. I did this on I stopped following people on Instagram who were just constantly posting bikini shots and like pictures of themselves in their underwear, because I was struggling with like mild body dysmorphia at the time, and just made me feel huge, like comparing myself.
That's a really interesting topic.
I like someone's, especially with social media and stuff, if you're flicking through it every day, if you're watching YouTube videos every day, people should be making you feel happy.
So I didn't know if you would mind me mentioning that, or whether it be sort of too heavy, but I was literally thinking about that when I started this subject. A great example of that would be if you are the type of person that struggles with issues related to eating and things like that. It's very unhealthy then to be friends with people that are like-minded.
Yeah. So my last point is sleep, and we've talked, like you've talked about you going through sleep deprivation, and you're just not in the right state of mind when you're not getting enough sleep, and you are going to be stressed and anxious. So you may as well do yourself a favour and at least get a good night's sleep as much as you can, because it just sets you up for a much better day, because your brain chemistry literally doesn't function as well when you don't have enough sleep, and you're bound to feel stressed or upset or angry, and if you're already struggling with that, that's just going to be compounded. So sleep is so important, and there's so much your body does while you sleep. It's so restorative for all aspects of your health as well as just your mental health, that it's just essential. And I think especially in today's modern society where hustling and working really long hours and staying up really late,
mobile phone and the digital era,
staying up really late is so glamorised, that I am just one of those people who's like, sod that, I'm a granny, I'm getting in bed at 10 o'clock every single night.
Slippers and a chamomile tea.
Yeah, exactly, because I need my sleep, because I'm just a better person.
I mean, are you realistically going to get up in the morning and write down 3 things you're grateful for when you're exhausted?
Exactly.
Are you going to get your gym stuff on and go for a run if you're exhausted? Probably not.
And when you're exhausted,
are you going to look in the mirror at your bags under your eyes and feel good about yourself? Probably not.
Yeah.
Do you know, you have to get enough sleep. Yeah.
It just puts you in a way more productive state, because it's just like meditating in the morning. You're starting off on that good level,
giving yourself the best possible chance.
Exactly. I would say that's what my tips are about in general, because anyone can do them. Whether they choose to or not is another thing, but anyone can do them, and it's just about how much you're gonna commit to.
It's like the gears on a bike. You're setting yourself up for failure. You're making the job harder. the higher that you go in the
Yeah.
gears, and if you're starting on a back foot because you're tired for your day,
Yeah.
it's not setting the right environment
No.
for a good well-being. And there's some thoughts on stress and anxiety to do with whether it is necessarily worth it's getting the balance between lowering the amount of stress and anxiety that you're exposed to, but improving your ability to cope with stress, your management skills
Yeah.
of managing your feelings of anxiety, and that can surely only be aided with a good night's sleep.
Yeah. I always like to think that every day is a new opportunity. Like, every day is a new opportunity to, reach your goals, feel happy, and just enjoy life. So why would you not want to set yourself up right the night before for a good day or a better day?
The last point I wanted to mention was having compassion for yourself. And Kat said she wrote a blog post on this recently. She hasn't posted yet, so we'll have to put that in the description bar if you have posted it. By then. So I would say there is a lot of writing to do with compassion for yourself, and I think it's a thing that most people have heard in regards to treating yourself as you would a friend. I think a lot of people have heard that as a concept, the way it's kind of like, would you be as hard on your friend as the things you're saying to yourself, your internal self saying to yourself, right, Kelly, well, that wasn't good enough. Well, that was too quick.
Yeah.
It wasn't quick enough. You weren't fast enough. You weren't perfect enough.
Yeah.
All of those stuff about not being good enough. Would you turn around and say that to your mate? No, you wouldn't.
No.
You'd never be that horrible to your friend. So it's compassion for yourself. But I would like to take the point that one step further and say, treat yourself as you would a child. Everybody has an inner child, and as a parent, I would never say to my daughter, you know what, you might have done your best, but that was shit. Do you know what I mean? Why do you say that to yourself? If you wouldn't say that to your child, why are you saying that to your little inner child?
Yeah, exactly. And
it's inner child abuse.
Yeah. My blog post was more about like how we're so harsh on ourselves, and if the example I gave was if your best friend said the wrong thing in a meeting at work, or fell off her really strict diet plan, or didn't go to the gym, you won't be like, oh my god, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
You're an absolute failure. So why? Why do we? You'd be like, no, it's fine. You're allowed a day off. Everyone slips up every now and again. No one's perfect. You still love them for who they are, no matter how many mistakes they make. So why would you not? I just think it's good to stop yourself and really think about it like that, because what I do now, I've really tried to train my brain to stop and be like, no.
That's uncompassionate and unkind to yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've gone down a little negative spiral and been like, I'm such an idiot, why have I done this? I said the wrong thing, and get really anxious or stressed about something. And then I've gone, no, don't say that about yourself, Kat. It's okay.
Stick up for yourself against yourself. And it's like mantras and backwards. I'm doing all the mantras work. Because if you're saying to me, right, I'm good enough, and then the other thing in your head's going, that was really crap. That's not a mantra you want to tell yourself.
You have to just be like, no. And I feel really crazy sometimes because I'm saying it out loud, but you need to. Because it is powerful. It does make a difference.
You do need to, and I try and think a little mantras. And the reason that I was inspired by my daughter with this point, because I try and think of little mantras to say sometimes to her. Make jokes. I hear myself talk sometimes, and I say, "Oh, Scarlett, you've made a bit of a mess with your toys or whatnot." And then I think to myself, I hear myself talking. And I say to Scarlett, if Mummy says that again, you say to me, "Oh, I'm only little." Like that, and I teach her to say what to say back to me, and then I'll say, have a go, and she'll go, yeah, Mum, I have made a mess, but I'm only little, that, and I think to myself, I'm teaching her to say these things, and she'll say things to me about her dancing, because she goes to dance. She's only 4, but she does dance class, and I say to her, she'll say, oh, was that really good? I said, well, did you do your best? And she said, yes. I said, well, then it was really good. I said, because you could only do your best. And she goes, yes, I can only do my best. And these are the things that, why, if we can say them to others, why can't we say them to ourselves?
People in your life will come and go. I know it's upsetting, but they will. And all you have when you're born and all you have when you die is yourself. So you may as well try your best to have the best relationship with yourself possible. and be kind to yourself.
So I hope that everybody found these tips helpful. And if we can think of anything relevant to what we've talked about and there's any relevant links, we'll put them in the description bar.
I will try and send you some links to put in your description box, because I've shared, I know we talked about self-help books, and that could be a really good place to start, to like dip your toes in the water if you are someone who's quite sceptical about this kind of thing. I will send Kelly some links to my favourite self-help books videos where I've talked about
and your blog
my
post.
favourites. Yeah.
Well,
it's going to be a newsletter.
Oh, a newsletter.
So that newsletter's like a weekly letter that's like positive and uplifting and stuff. So
we'll include that.
I'll just send her some links and you can find it on my channel anyway.
So yeah, let us know in the comments what you think. If there are any mental health or anxiety or stress or wellbeing related topics that you'd like to bring up, mention them in the comments. But please, everyone, be as kind and supportive as you possibly can.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, guys.
Thanks for having me on your channel.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me in your house.
Yeah,
this is your sofa and your camera.
Go and watch Kelly have her makeup done on my channel.
See my face? Well. This is her beautiful work. Yeah, so I'll link to that.
Sometimes just putting some slap on and tarting yourself up makes you feel really good for the day.
Most times in my case. Yeah. And yeah, I guess we'll see you in the next one, guys. Take care.
Bye.